A huge UFO came out of the lake. Its shadow covered the entire valley. On April 24, 1993, Ocotlan resident Raúl Dominguez López headed out for yet another nightly stakeout at the Cerro de Ocotlán el Chiquihuitillo. After hearing rumors of strange lights in the area, the local business owner was curious and had spent several sleepless nights patrolling the area. With a camera and his dog, Raúl Dominguez's photographs of this unidentified flying object taken in 1993 made a huge impression on the global UFO community. Near dawn, Dominguez says, his dog began growling, panicked, then dropped to the ground, apparently stunned. Meanwhile, a copper-colored disc-shaped object rose out of the hillside right in front of Dominguez's eyes. A band at the bottom was spinning counterclockwise, and a glowing light was visible behind a camera-like aperture. Dominguez says that he felt the temperature drop, although there was no odor or sound, and saw branches nearby lifting with the motion of the object. After the shock wore off, Dominguez ran 4 or 5 meters to a clear spot and began frantically snapping photographs of the object. He used up an entire roll of film, then switched to another roll and took about 6 more photos. It was very large, to the point that its shadow covered the entire valley. It was a flying saucer-shaped hat and emitted a sound, like a mild buzz as the bees do. A fisherman in the area had said that this object came out of the lake. He also says that the branches of trees and even his clothes were sucked up when the object passed over him. It even left the hairs of his dog standing straight up as if a magnetic force had passed above them. It is by far the best case in Mexico, and one of the best 5 in the world today, says Guadalajara UFO investigator Fernando J. Tellez. I have to admit it would be a horrible blow for me if this case was proved to be false, says Tellez. Subsequently, he suffered vitiligo, white spots on the skin caused by depigmentation, and several digestive problems. He is still affected. According to his report, these diseases are the result of the enormous tension he has experienced. He doubted that the flying object or its probable magnetism had been the cause of his affections, because he was accompanied by his dog who had no symptoms. Mr. Raúl Dominguez was skeptical about this phenomenon until early 1993, when he became interested in the subject because of rumors involving an UFO in the vicinity of Ocotlan. He had begun to evolve when witnesses showed him clichés, and police officers had been witnesses. Out of curiosity, he began to observe the sky carefully with binoculars. In February of the same year, he managed to observe a UFO reported by locals, but at that time the object was too far away, and he was unable to take a picture. This event greatly increased his interest, and he decided to observe the sky of the Chiquihuitillo hill, which belongs to him, for half. After nearly 4 months, he finally managed to take his famous photos. The first 36 were taken with a roll of 100 ASA, when the object appears opaque, copper-colored. Then, he loaded a roll at 400 ASA and he was able to make 6 more images with the same flying object, but unlike the previous photos, some kinds of lights are visible in the upper part. According to the witness's opinion, these lights do not match the windows but would be a sign of code, pointing out that sometimes 1 or 2 of them would go out, which could be a form of communication. He points out, in fact, that it would not be an attempt at communication, but signals to small invisible spheres located in the hill which entered the object through an opening at the bottom. Although these spheres are invisible, he was able to see them thanks to specialized analyzers applied to the photos by the personnel of the Institute of Astronomy and Meteorology of Guadalajara. The witness also claims that the UFO opened a kind of door at the base, very similar to the diaphragm of a camera, and it was possible for him to see a luminosity behind this opening. The first media that published the photos were the Mexican newspapers Community and El Faro de Jalisco, on May 29th of the same year. Then, it was the magazine Report OVNI, managed by Zitha Rodriguez. Mr. Dominguez is an amateur photographer, which could raise suspicion, but nevertheless, the photos have been analyzed in several countries, without one can ever find a trace or an index of fraud or manipulation. Finally, it is worth mentioning that this same object had been photographed years prior in the same area.